What's up, guys? It's Techno Viking 23 coming to you today with another Mass Effect 3 multiplayer character video. And today we're going to be taking a look at the N7 Paladin Sentinel. He's a pretty specialized character. He came out with one of the bonus DLC packs a long time ago with Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. But he is probably one of the better characters in the game, at least in my opinion. I really love using this guy. He's very well rounded, kind of a jack of all trades. Has an absolutely amazing power kit and can take on all kinds of different enemies all at one time. So you're going to be seeing some gameplay for this guy here in just a little bit. I just wanted to take a couple minutes to go through his build real quick, kind of show you guys how I use him, what I do with his powers and whatnot. So let's jump right into it. Take a look at his power setup. And you can see with him, I do go with the traditional 6-6-6-4-4 build on him with 6 slotting all of his powers. He has Energy Drain, Incinerate, Snap Freeze. These are great powers because Energy Drain basically can strip shields, Incinerate kills armor, Snap Freeze is very good against armor as well, and it's good for slowing down and debuffing enemies. And then he's got his N7 Paladin traits and his Shield Mastery trait pool for health and fitness at the bottom. So overall, very well-rounded character. You can see only with 4 slotted Shield Mastery, he still has 700 health and 1,050 shield. So he's somewhat durable. He's not, a glass cannon like some of the other human characters, but pretty fun character to play, as you'll see here in the gameplay coming up. First, we're going to take a look at Energy Drain. This is a great power. This allows you to steal enemy shield energy and damage them. Also affects barriers, so you can use this against Banshees and other bosses. But this is really great. This is great, especially for the Geth, for the Reapers, and several, all the other enemy types. Just one of the best powers in the game for draining shield energy in order to damage the enemies a little bit better. So the first 3 slots, you're kind of stuck in using those. For rank 4, I actually decided to go with Impact Radius because this can hit more than one enemy at one time. That way you can get a little bit more shield power. Your other option is to go with Damage by 30%. But I found this power to be more useful for draining shields than causing damage, so that's why I went with the bigger radius. Rank 5, you went with Drain, which is increased shield restoration rate by 50% when draining shields, barriers, or powers from synthetic enemies. That way, any kind of synthetic enemy you drain, you will restore your own shields a little bit more by 50%. So you can see there at the bottom, my shields restored is up at 100% whenever I use that on synthetics. Pretty awesome power, lets you recharge your shields, get yourself out of a crappy situation now and then. So pretty good power there in rank 5. Or you can take recharge speed to increase by 25%. I just felt the benefits of taking Drain far outweigh having the power recharge a little bit faster, as it's already a pretty fast recharging power at 2.71 seconds, even when I'm using a heavier shotgun with this guy. Moving on to rank 6, I did take a damage increase by 40%, or you can reduce the damage taken by 40% for 10 seconds by getting a temporary layer of armor after draining the shields from synthetics. This is a good power also. Since I skipped the damage earlier, I decided to take it in rank 6, but you really can't go wrong with either one of these. But I like having a little bit of extra damage on that one there. Again, these are just my thoughts and opinions. You don't have to necessarily build your character this way. These are just some kind of tricks and tips I give you guys. Incinerate, another great power in this game. This thing absolutely melts armor, melts bosses. Just a great power, also like Energy Drain. First 3, you're stuck there, but rank 4, I always go with increased damage versus radius, because this is a power you just want to have it hitting for all kinds of damage, because it does damage over time as well. You can also increase your damage over time by an additional 50% over 8 seconds, which I do take instead of the recharge speed. And then at rank 6, you can go with a freeze combo. Increase damage to frozen and shield targets by an additional 100%, or you can increase damage to armor by 50. Now, this guy, it's kind of a dilemma because he does have flash freeze or snap freeze, so it's actually kind of good to use this in conjunction with that, and you can go ahead and get a little bit more damage that way if you use snap freeze first. But a lot of the times I'm going for straight up pure armor damage with Incinerate, so I would still always stick with increasing damage to armor by 50%. So, but either way, you can't really go wrong on rank 6 with this character, especially if you're maxing out snap freeze as well. And then finally, we have Snap Freeze. You've seen me use this with the Alliance Infiltration Unit. This is a great power. It goes through walls, flash freezes unprotected enemies. It works kind of like the cryo ammunition. Frozen targets don't regenerate health quite as fast, weakens their armor, and they also move a little bit slower. And this is just, again, a really great power overall. So this guy's got 3 really solid powers, 3 of the best powers in the game. You see their first 3 again, you're kind of stuck on. I go for damage increase of 30% versus range because this guy actually works really well playing up close, so you really don't notice the range drop off too much. Plus, if you're staying inside of buildings and things, you can still shoot this through walls and get to be very effective with it. Now in rank 5, you can go with duration and slow, which increases the duration of freeze effects by 50%, decreases movement speed of chilled targets by an additional 20%, or you can increase the damage to chilled and frozen targets by 10%, which can be very good if you're playing in a team that you're familiar with and they're very focused on certain enemies. They'll know to shoot your targets that are frozen. That also comes in handy against bosses, but again, I like to have a little bit more debuff duration on some of the enemies. So rank 6, you can go with increased damage by 40%, weaken armored targets by an extra 25%, or you can increase the damage of tech combos by 100%. Again, this is helpful if you're playing in a team that's very good at using tech combos, but I like to go for just the guaranteed armor damage and also increasing the overall damage of snap freeze. It's a great power. You can hit enemies through walls with this. Like I said, does quite a lot of damage and a great debuff power. So this guy overall has one of the better kits in the game with all three of these. So really solid powers overall. All right, when you get into N7 Paladin, you're going to get a few different little things here. This is going to be his combat skills, power damage, weapon damage, and strength. The first slot here, you can increase your power and force, and then your weapon damage. Now, I only take this out to 4 slots because I 6 slot the other powers. So here I go for more damage and capacity. Increase power damage and force bonus, increase weight capacity by 20 points. Because with this guy, you really only want to use one weapon, and you want to be spamming those powers all the freaking time. Because this guy's got, like I said, 3 of the better powers in the game. You can completely melt armor and shields with this guy if you play him right, and this is one of the reasons you want to have less weight and you want to be recharging your powers as fast as possible. Really, your power usage is going to make up a lot more than 7.5% weapon damage. So I only take him out to 4 slots here. I just don't think with a character build like this that you can afford to not 6 slot energy drain, incinerate, or snap freeze. So that's why we only do 4. On these bottom, if you're really, really good, you actually could go ahead and just 6 slot N7 Paladin and leave Shield Mastery empty, but this is also a pretty good category here. He actually has a shield that he uses instead of like an Omni Blade. His melee, he makes this omni-shield, and so you like Captain America, you beat people up with your shield. It's pretty cool. But he'll drop the shield down if you do heavy melee, and he can protect his teammates, like if they're doing objectives and things. And this basically just increase your melee damage and health and shields. You can go out a little bit more. If you want, increase the damage the omni-shield withstands before collapsing by 50%, because you can actually use the shield to protect your teammates from and yourself also, and you can add a flame effect to that as well if you take this out to 6 slots. Unfortunately, in this case, I really don't think it's worth using 6 slots in either of these powers because, like I said, you're going to get a lot more benefit taking Energy Drain, Incinerate, and Snap Freeze out to 6 slots. So that's pretty much his general build I use on this guy, and we'll be getting into some gameplay here in just a minute here. Equipment, I usually use kind of the standard gear bonus. I don't have all these unlocked, but there's a couple. Sometimes I'll use Engineering Kit for a little bit more tech power damage. The Expert package is also good with him. I like to use him a lot with the N7 Hurricane, so it's an SMG, and you get the extra recharge speed, also a little bit extra damage. That's a pretty solid one to use. But there's a lot of different, powers and different gear you can use. Multi-capacitor is pretty solid. If you want to use him as a sniper, which I don't really recommend because he is kind of an up-close type character with all his powers, you can use that too if you want. I usually go with Shield Booster 5 since that's pretty effective at giving me more shields. So pretty much up to your choice. I just point out a couple ones you guys can try out there. Armor bonus, ammo bonus, weapon bonus. Obviously, that's pretty much up to you. Armor bonus, I try to use recharge, power recharge, or power damage most of the time since he is such a power-heavy class. And as for the weapons, you can see there I am using the M23 Katana. That's actually mainly because I'm just trying to work on some shotgun achievements. The M23 Katana is not a great shotgun, but it's very lightweight. I can see power recharge speed of 170% even when I'm using it. I would recommend using shotguns or SMGs with this guy because, like I said, he's very good in melee range. You can stay up close. You can use those powers a lot. There's some really solid shotguns that work well with him. The only kind of problem is you don't want to take a real heavy shotgun because it's going to take away some of that recharge speed. I like using the M27 Scimitar with him. It's one of my favorite shotguns in this game. But you can see some of the other ones really take away a lot of your weight and your recharge. The M22 Eviscerator is another pretty good choice because you can see there you can still get 190% recharge. Disciple is pretty good, especially if you like a faster firing shotgun if you're not quite as accurate. But a lot of these other ones you probably want to stay away from. You could maybe squeeze the Rieger Carbine in there if you were pretty careful with it, but like I said, in this one here, I just had it on the M23 Katana. And then submachine guns, actually what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take off Let's take off shotguns completely so we can see what kind of recharge penalties we get here. The 25 Hornets are always very solid if you're good at managing a recoil. This gun kicks like a horse, but it does a lot of really solid damage, like most of the Cerberus weapons do. So I do like using that one. Shuriken's kind of useless. The N7 Hurricane is actually one of my favorite SMGs. I love this gun, and it's also got a little bit of wild recoil, but if you can learn how to use this thing, it absolutely chews through enemies up close. I'll probably actually be doing a video about that gun later on. The Tempest is not bad. The M12 Locust, if you really want to be an accurate shot with that, you can see there I've actually got the power emitter on there. I've been using this with him every once in a while. Not a very high damage SMG, but it's a very accurate, very reliable one. Geth Plasma SMG as well, the Blood Pack Punisher. So you can see most of these SMGs are still going to give you over 170 recharge speed, which is good. So it's a good class of weapons to use with him. Like I said, N7 Hurricane. If you've got that, that gun is pretty amazing. So, of course, you can also sniper or use assault rifles or anything else, but I would strongly suggest sticking with a shotgun or a SMG with him. So that's pretty much some of the tips and tricks for his build. Now we're going to get into some gameplay, so hang on 1 second for me, guys, and we're going to get into it. All right, guys, here we go with some gameplay featuring the N7 Paladin. And as I was talking about in his build notes, this guy is just a great character. He has so many really good powers. Incinerate, Snap Freeze, Energy Drain. This guy is really prepared for it all, whether it's shields or armor, Geth, Reapers, no matter what kind of enemy you're facing, he pretty much has a power set to deal with it. So it's one of the things that makes him one of my favorite characters, and one of the things I think makes him one of the better characters in the game is that he just has so many different powers that he can use on these different enemy types. So that really makes him very well rounded. You could use him against anybody really on any difficulty level. He's a great asset to any team. You may not score the highest amount of points with him, but you're going to contribute a lot to your team, get a lot of assists, help with a lot of bosses, whittling them down, getting their armor down, getting their shields off. So great character overall. And in this gameplay, I'm using the N7 Hurricane, which is actually one of my favorite weapons in the game. It's an SMG. It is a very high recoil, high rate of fire SMG, so you do have to be very close to enemies in order to use it effectively. Thankfully with this guy, that's not too difficult because you have such great powers, especially with Snap Freeze for up in melee range. And with Energy Drain restoring some of your shields, you definitely have a few different damage mitigation things that you can use to stay up close range with this weapon. Or you can throw a couple stability bonuses on it and really makes it a little bit more usable out to a mid-range. So really great weapon, the N7 Hurricane. Love using it on certain characters. Now, one thing I do run into with this guy a lot of times is I get so focused on using either Snap Freeze or Incinerate, I forget I have the other powers. And that's kind of easy to do with him since he does have such good powers across the board. You wind up using one of them. All of his powers are really good, so you'll wind up focusing on one of them all the time. But you can see you're very effective with Snap Freeze, and his melee is actually pretty cool too. He uses a little shield, as I was talking about earlier in the build notes as well, so you can smack guys around with your shield, pretend you're Captain America. He can also do heavy melee and hold the shield down like as a wall and block people, and it can take a certain amount of damage before it knocks you out of that melee animation. But overall, this guy is really good, and hopefully you'll see that come through here in the gameplay. The different types of targets you can use this guy on, the different types of damage you can do. You've got the cryo damage, you got the fire damage with Incinerate, and then you got the tech damage with Energy Drain. So you can do a lot of different combos with this guy. If you use Snap Freeze or Incinerate, and then you use your Energy Drain, or maybe the other way around. My mind's kind of gone right now with regards to this, but you can do tech combos, you can do cryo explosions, and also fire explosions with this guy, so he's pretty awesome. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the commentary. Guys can watch the gameplay here and see just how effective this character is with his different power sets. Like I said, you can use this guy when you get really good with him on just about any difficulty level against just about any type of enemy, because he has so many great powers that he could use and just completely decimate the enemy squad. So that's going to do it, guys, for my commentary. Enjoy the rest of the gameplay here with the N7 Paladin going up here against the Reapers. If you guys have any questions at all about this character or his build, any of his powers, anything at all, with regards to Mass Effect 3, feel free to leave a comment down below asking me anything you want. And also, if you have a special character or a build you would like to see me try, or a weapon or anything at all in the multiplayer, feel free to let me know, and I will definitely try to do that. I love to do subscriber requests when it comes to doing different builds and different weapons. I have been able to try out a lot of unique stuff from those, so it's always fun to try something different, especially in this multiplayer, which you have so much different variety in how you can play it. It's always cool to try someone else's build just to see how effective it is. So that's going to do it for me, guys. Like I said, I hope you enjoy the gameplay. I hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.